Okay, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David, Baruch Hashem. And today we're going to continue, of course, on Likutey Halachos, but we're going to start again with our Sefer Sfartim Lachem. We're doing a little Sefira project, Baruch Hashem. And today is Hayom Shloisha Asa Yom Shehem Shavua Echad V'Shisha Yom L'Omer. And again, like I always remind everybody, all our listeners, that if you didn't count yet, and if you're listening during the day, wherever you are around the world, if it's before Shkia, you can still count, and please say it that way. Hayom Shlosha Asa Yom Shehem Shavua Echad V'Shisha Yom L'Omer. Say the day, the week, and that's the way it's a complete counting. So today is a very special day, as every day is. Today we're going to learn about the Midah Yesod Shebegvura. Yesod Shebegvura. So we learned a lot in Likutey Halachos. We learned a lot about the Midah Yesod, right? We're learning a lot about that. And that was where when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Gonez, where all of the light fell into the Yesod of Atzilut, of the highest world, right? It fell there, right? And we're always trying to connect to that light. We use the Midah of Yesod. We need the Yesod to connect to the Yesod. So our purity connects to the Yesod of that world, and that's how we need always have purity. Let's see, it says now. Yitein Adam el libay. A person should, again, it's very interesting, he picks these words now when we're talking about these things. Yitein ha'adam el libay. A person should give him place in his heart. Yitein. Give into his heart. Not just in the mind, into the heart. If you want to come to fear God, if you really want to fear God, to recognize that God is with you, that Hashem is there, but you want to feel that, right? You want to feel it. You have to grab on to the midah of tzaddik. Tzaddik be'emunasa yichya, right? We said, right? Tzaddik be'emunasa yichya. You need emunah. You have to have emunah that you can be a tzaddik and you are a tzaddik. How do you like that? You are a tzaddik. Because every time, again, like we said yesterday, if the person has a hero tshuva, right? If the person has even a thought of tshuva, he can turn himself into a tzaddik. Where that kedushin was a suffix. They're not certain if there's a kedushin there, right? Like we learned yesterday, right? We have to be very, very careful to be pure. Watch the bris kodesh. That's the very, very important thing. How do you do that? With your words. Be very careful what words you say, right? Never to say words, let's say, words of lashon hara, right? Words of rechilus, right? Words of disparagement, right? And then especially not to use nivel peh, to say bad words, right? Because again, that goes against the whole midah of the shomer esabris, right? Using David, welcome.
Thank you.
Wow. Uvamilasai, right? Okay. Shekain anu maitziyim be Yosef. That we saw this by Yosef at Tzaddik. She'achas she'omer ben Yisayin eishes Potiphar v'shomer es brisai. Right away, when Yosef at Tzaddik, that on that famous day, that Yosef at Tzaddik was tested by eishes Potiphar. That was the test of all time. That was really the test of all time. Yosef had the test of all time. The Chazal teaches that at that time, Yosef HaTzadik had the taiva of every person of all time was attacking him. You know that, right? He had whatever desire you ever felt or anyone ever felt, it was on, he had that. All together. And he overcame that. Unbelievable. Wow. Shomer es brisai. Zocha l'toya tzaddik. So the Torah calls him a tzaddik right then. Right? The Torah gives Yosef, he gives him the tzaddik. He gets that title. I guess you could call it a title, right? He gets that title of tzaddik, which is the best title you could possibly get from the Torah. Right? The Torah demonstrates that Yosef, he's the tzaddik. V'heyed al atzmai b'fnei achiv. And Yosef HaTzadik, he also testified this, gave this over to him when he said it to his brothers for Omer. Esolikim ani yore. I fear God. Esolikim yore. What does that mean? V'nimsa masig es yirosai shalabayri is baruch hayedeya chizosai b'midas tzadik. So in other words, right, again, everyone can grab on some level to the midah of tzaddik, right? Everyone can grab on to the level a little bit, and I use that. In other words, I have to use that to feel that I'm a tzaddik sometimes in order to be successful. In other words, I understand we're really working on becoming a Beinoni. I got that. But sometimes, even the Balatanya says there are times in the day that a person, right, that a person is a tzaddik, and there are times in the day that the person is a Beinoni. There are times in the day the person is a Rasha, right? Right, within one day. So here today we're saying when we're learning about the midah yesod shebigvura, to be successful in order to attain yiras Hashem. Sometimes you have to take on the midah of tzaddik. What does it mean? The same way that tzaddik is shomer sabris, the tzaddik is so careful in being pure, so I have to look at myself as being so pure as well. So that's what he means, I believe. What he's saying is to grab onto the midah tzaddik, because I have to take on the purity to try to strive towards the purity of the tzaddik. Do you like that idea, David? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, the strive. In other words, the tzaddik. I may not be there, but I strive to be there. So you take on the midah tzaddik. Okay, so then he says now, Beis, we'll do Beis. Oid yitein halibay ki letzarech heyosei masig es yirosei shalabayir is baruch. If you want to be able to obtain true yiras Hashem, to recognize that Hashem is with you all the time, and He never leaves me. But we know that that's true, but we're not always cognizant of it. Right, we sometimes we have hesach hadas, right? We don't know it, but if you want it to be more ingrained and you want it to be more vivid and real in your life, so what do? Yesh lo lepayil gvura ba'atzmai. You have to do it. You have to take a gvura on yourself. What do you mean? B'chol taivus ha'olam b'chlal. So whatever taivus the person has, right? We learned about that in Tanya, right? Right, take on the challenge, right? You have a challenge, right? The guy wants to eat too much, whatever it is, right? So take on the thing and say, I'm not going to do it. I want this, but I'm not going to do it, right? He takes on the ability. We all have that ability, right? We know I want to eat another piece of chocolate cake or a 7-layer cake, whatever you like, right? I want another piece. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I had one piece, that's enough. I had one, but I want another one. No, I won't do it. That's taking on to be payil gvura ba'atzmai. Right? It's not saying that you can't have one, just don't have two. Don't be a, novel b'reshus ha'torah, right? Chazal teach a lot about that, right? Don't be a novel b'reshus ha'torah. What does that mean? Listen, a lot of the Torah says I'm allowed to do this, so I'll just have as much as I want, right? Right, and so listen. The cake is good, right? It's I know it has the right hechsher on it, and I made the bracha on it, so I can eat as many pieces as I want. No, don't do that. Take on the little bit of the midah shmiras habris befrat, especially with shmiras habris. Kigoin mashamru chazal, as what Chazal teach us. Seuda shenascha mishoich yodcha mimenu. A seuda that you're enjoying, right? He explains. So ki kol minias taiva nechsheves lisiguv b'tainis hamachaperes oven. Anytime you hold yourself back, from any kind of taiva, anything. So what does he say here? That is considered as if you had a sigufim, right? You tormented your body. Is that a good word to say? Torment. Right, siguf. How would you say siguf? Sigufim, torment. I think that's a good word, right? You punished yourself. Siguf. V'tainis hamachaperes oven. In other words, it's compared to any time. Chazal is teaching us here that any time you hold yourself back from something, that's considered as if it's a fast. That's considered as if you were made a siguf on the body. V'nimtza masig es yirosai shalabayri is barach ayadei kedushasai v'tarasai. So now you can be masig, so you can attain yiras Hashem through a person's kedusha and through a person's tahara. Through a person's kedusha. I want to look at something. I don't want to say whatever. Maybe I'll do the next piece also. Yishtadol miyoid lamed beperetz v'tikun v'gidorim v'siyugim. A person has to make sure that he sets himself up fences, right? Hein la'atzmai v'hein l'zulasai. B'shmira says ois bris. Especially that we're learning about a lot of this in Likutey Halachos, right? The ois bris, right? As far as purity, sexual purity. Sharei amru kol mokim shata moitzi ged erva. Anytime you see you're in a situation that you have that erva is involved, ata moitzi kedusha. You'll find that there's kedusha in that place. Whenever there's an erva, there's kedusha there, because again, if you overcome it, then you can attain a high level of kedusha. V'yitein alibay shechazal karu rosha l'mi she'ein le'choishes l'geda erva. A person that's not choishes for the geda of erva, that person is called a rasha by Chazal. You know we can give you an example, right? Chazal say you can't have yichud, right? You can't be in the same house with a lady that's not your wife, right? You can't be, or a daughter, or things like that. And a strange lady, you can't be in the house with. So the guy will say, "Listen, I can hold back myself. What's the big deal? I can be in the house." No. So Chazal say, no, don't think you can do that, because again, no one's supposed to be, a person shouldn't think he's so great ad yoim ma'aseh, right? We don't know. No one ever knows what they'll do. The Yetzer Hara is very, very strong. We don't know. So right, the guy's going in the street, and he knows on this street there's going to be a lot of preachers. There's going to be a lot of immodest people dressed, right? People won't be dressed right. But he goes in that way. Because he wants to enjoy the scene. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai HaKadosh, it says in the Zohar, Hizil Talmidov Shebein derech acheres umaychrichin la'ava derech noshim mitzavos. If you have no other choice, you're going to a certain place and you have to pass through this place. There's only one road. You have to go through this place. Chayavim ein lishmor es einayim shelo yichshilu. You have to watch your eyes and don't be nichshel. Don't give in to the eyes. Like the Torah says, v'lo yisasuru acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. Right? That's what Torah says. We said it in Shema. Right? We say that in Shema every day. Right? They're coming always to try the other sides, trying to get us to be nichshel with our eyes, because again, the ayin roiv, aleiv choymed, and then the person winds up doing the aveira, right? Chazal teach us that. But again, look what the Torah says over there, just one horror. Right? It says, right? Leman tizgeru. If you want to be able to remember your Torah, what's the greatest thing to do? Watch your eyes. Right? That's what the Torah say. Right? It's pshat. Right? If you watch what you're seeing, if you're watching your heart, your heart's desire, that's why he says, right? Place this in the heart. Place it because the heart desire. The heart is what's desired. Place this into the heart. So if you do that, so then you'll be able to watch what you see, because the heart won't desire it, right? Because really, what is the heart? What are the eyes? The eyes are a messenger of the brain, right? The brain says, "Oh, I want to know what's going on over here." So he tells the eyes, "Okay, go look over there." Right? Really, what's going on? Right? The eyes don't have anything of their own. They work with the brain. You ever think of it that way? Right? The brain wants to see something, so it uses the kalim in order to see it, so he sends the eyes. So you see that the eyes are intricately connected to the brain. We know that, right? The eyes are so connected to the brain. So if you want to be able to remember your Torah and watch the Chachmas Ilah, right, to keep the Torah that's in your mind, so you have to be careful with the eyes. Right? Makes perfect sense, right? Okay, now, v'lo yikru oivdei avodah zara. Not only, the Zohar says, not only is the person that has the opportunity to go through the way and he chooses that way because he wants to go to that thing, right? He wants to see that scene, whatever it is. So that person is considered as if he was Oved Avodah Zarah. Unbelievable. Ki ein yetzer hara mis'avel lehachtia lo adam ela b'midazu. The yetzer hara really attacks us. It all boils down to the same thing: impurity. Impurity, right? We said yesterday that the whole Ched Egel. What was the whole point that they wanted the Ched? What was the whole point of the Ched Egel? Chazal told us what they say because they wanted to be Matir Arayas. Moshe Rabbeinu in his Torah said, "Hey, you have to be pure." Well, if Moshe is not here, and we don't have the Torah because Moshe is not here, so we'll make this new Egel, and this new Egel will say, "I can do what I want." This guy will say, "I can do what I want." You understand? So that's why he's saying, if you give in to that taiva, it's as if it's avodah zarah. You have the idea from the Egel Azov. Okay. Sheba because Ayvar Midas Kula Benimsa Mashlim or Masig Midas Hagvura, so you can be mashlim, you can fulfill and attain the Midah Gvura, Ayde Midas Hayasai, through the Midah of Yisai. So if you want to feel, you wonder why I don't have the Yiras Hashem, right? We have to have the Yiras Hashem, right? Because Yiras Hashem, the Yira and Ahava are the Gatfin, those are the wings of every mitzvah that we do. Right? When we do a mitzvah, right? If we don't have we learned that in time, right? If you don't put the dechilu rechimu into your mitzvah, the mitzvah just stays dormant. It doesn't have any energy. It doesn't have any energy to go up, right? So if you want to feel the dechilu, right? If you want to have the dechilu is yiras Hashem, right? Rechimu is ahavas Hashem, right? If you want to have that, you have to be careful with the midah of Yisai. All right, so that's what I believe that's a nice understanding of what the midah of Yesod should be Gvura is. In other words, if you want to be able to attain Gvura, Yiras Hashem, you have to work with the midah of Yesod to be mashlim the midah of Gvura. Interesting idea? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we'll just see, and then we were learning about the different, there are 48 kinyanim of Torah, right? There are 48 kinyanim of Torah. Today's kinyan of Torah connected to Yesod Shebegvura said is b'mikra, studying mikra, studying the Torah, right? Studying mikra, learning mikra. Why is mikra so important? Because again, when you see mikra and you're learning the words, you're seeing those beautiful words. You're seeing the isis, the letters, right? When you're studying mikra, right, and you're reading it. So again, that helps to purify the eyes. By reading you see the Isis, right? If you could ever learn in Ksav Ashuris, right? Ksav Ashuris has a special effect to purify the eyes. Did you know that? Ksav Ashuris. If you can have a siddur, if you can find a siddur to daven from the Ksav Ashuris, or you could learn from Ksav Ashuris, it's an amazing, amazing idea. That's what it means. Mikra, again, study Mikra. You see the letters, see the words, and it helps imprint into the mind. So again, you can then connect. You can always be connected to the Torah, and everyone. That's our lesson for today. Thank you. Now we're going to learn Likutey Halachos. Yeah, you have your sefer. Yeah. What? Beautiful sefer. Oh, it's more than beautiful. David, I've been learning this sefer. I think close to 30 years. And it's always new to me. It's just always so special. It's always so wonderful. It's well-traveled sefer, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so now, so we finished yesterday Hilchos Teffilin, Halacha Beis, right? That was a long journey, but it was a wonderful journey, and it was one that I didn't really want to leave. Right? We said that yesterday, Mordechai, right?
You said you might go over it again today, just because to do it
we can. Do you want to go over some points on the lesson from last week, or we should just continue?
I think you can continue.
We can continue. Okay, we'll continue. Okay. So now we're going to learn how. Let's have a little idea of what's going on in this Torah here, It says, Inyan Teffilin al pi mama Likutey Maran, of course, the Rebbe's opus, beautiful book, Tes Vov, in lesson 15. Right? Hamaskov atem tiuli mamleches kayanim hamedaber ma'aloi sayira. It's very interesting that we were just learning about Yiras Hashem, and we're learning today that it fits in that we're going to learn here about the Yiras Hashem. But what is the Yira? That we should work on what Yiras HaNefulos are. Yiras HaNefulos. What's Yiras HaNefulos? Yira HaNefula is when I'm scared of something that is only there as a test for me from Hashem, right? Eli was here. Eli told me, he shared a story with me. Eli shared a story with me the other day. Amazing story. He said that one time he was in America. Listen to this. It's an amazing story. This is mamash an amazing story that Eli told me. It's unbelievable. He was in America, and he said one night he was going somewhere, and he said that he got out of his car or he was walking. That I don't remember, but he said there was this rabid dog, a dog with rabies, was right in front of him, was growling at him, and he had no idea what to do. He was like, wow. So he said he looked around, he wanted to see if there's a tree he can drive, but he said, there's no way I'm going to outrun this dog. And then he realized, wait a second. This dog here is only sent by Hashem. He has no control over me. Eli told me this. Anthony, this dog has no control over me, right? This dog has no control over me. And he said something happened. He said he like tripped a little bit of something he didn't know, and the dog got scared and the dog ran away.
Fine.
Again, he had the yira. He realized that's the perfect example of what a yira nefula is, right? That dog is only there because Hashem sent the dog. So what are you going to do, right?
Fallen fears,
right? Yiras and nefulas, fallen fears. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, now, Hamaskil Misha Roitze Litoy, if someone wants to taste, Oragonas, of this Oragonas that we were talking about. So we were learning, just to review what the Oragonas was. You know, we always talk about the Oragonas, and where is this Oragonas? What is this Oragonas? So we learned in the Akdama to Halacha Beis was, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, so he created Kalim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu had overfilled the Kalim with light. But he did that purposely. He didn't do that, it was a mistake. He put too much light in the Kalim. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put too much light into the Kalim, and he wanted those Kalim to shatter. Right? Where were those Kalim? Those Kalim were in the Olam Atzilus, in the highest world.
world tohu.
Right? It came from the world of the highest world. It was Toh, but really, what is Toh? It's really the highest thing. Toh. Another lesson. Okay. So he said that we learned that from the Zohar that really when the Kalim shattered, so the shards of the Kalim went down to the Olam HaBriya, some went to the Olam HaYetzira, most of them fell into the Olam HaSiyah that we're in right here now. Now, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do that? Because Hashem did that to allow for Bechira in the world. These shards of these Kalim they lost their light. Their light was up there, they had light in them. There's some kind of a Rishimu in them that remained in these shards that was sent down here. But these shards, these Nitzoitzes are constantly want to be Misak in themselves. But because they have their absence of light, they allow for the world, for people in the world to say that there is no God. In other words, really HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everything, everywhere. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is if he showed himself into the world, no one would be able to say there's no God, and there's such a thing as Teva. right? It's only because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made these shattered kalim. And he sent these things, these kalim, these shards allowed for kfira in the world. Hashem wanted that. Why? So this bechira, so we can choose the right thing. Hashem wanted us to be able to choose the right thing. But if it's all Hashem, so then you can't choose anything, right? So the Rebbe taught us there that where did the light land up? So now there was a lot of light. There was a lot of light in these kalim. So where did the light end up? So he said that the light ended up in Yesoid Shabbat Tzilos. In the sixth, Sasha was here when we were learning that, so he said it was like the 6th district. You know, if you want to understand, like in neighborhoods, right? so he said that Yesod, you know, you're going down from Chesed, Gvura, Tferes, Netzach, Yesod. Today's the day of Yesod, right? Hod Yesod. Yesod is the 6th one, right? So the light is there, and that's why if we want to connect to the Aragonas, we have to be careful with our Yesod, with our bris, because if we're connecting, always careful with our bris, which is Yesod, we can connect to the Olam HaTzilus, the Yesod of Olam. That's where the Aragonas is. So there's a direct connection to our purity, to our Shmira Sinayim, our purity, to be able to stay connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because that's where the light is. And then we learned a lot about that. So if you want to taste this Aragonas, that light, so the Rebbe introduced this concept. That's the source of where this Aragonas, this hidden light is. And that's why it said it was hidden away for the tzaddikim. Because what the tzaddikim are the ones that are the shemes abris, so they get the Aragonas. Makes perfect sense. It's unbelievable. Shehu tzarech la'alois hayira l'sharsha. A person has to work on elevating his yira and put it up to its source. What's the real source of yira? Yiras Hashem. That's the real source. Fearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like we just learned in Usfatim Lechem, right? Today, Yesod Shebegvura, right? The main thing is, in other words, you need purity in order to increase the relevant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is prevalent in the world. The Hainu Hadas, right? To learn about this Das, to know what to fear. Ubima Ma'alin. And to be able to raise up my yira from the yira and the fula, the yira from instead of being scared of things of the world, I raise myself up to the yira, to the real true yira of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I have the protection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's the greatest sense, that's the greatest feeling a person can have when he's in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's protection. By Yadei Mishpat Sheyishpat Etz Atzmai, and this is a fascinating thing. How do you do this? You have to judge yourself. Wow, that may be a little bit uncomfortable, right? Judge yourself, right? A little bit uncomfortable. Judge yourself. What does that mean to judge yourself? Well, listen, if your person did something wrong, so you say, listen, I was a bad boy. I did this wrong. Hashem, I made a mistake. I did this wrong. Right? That goes back to the Eitz Hadas Taivara, right? With Adam Arishan, the first day. Hashem said, what'd you do? What did Adam say? Well, you gave me this lady and she caused me to sin. Adam could have just said, hey, I'm sorry, Hashem. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That would have fixed everything. We have to judge ourselves. It's hard to do because the ego, we have an ego, and our ego doesn't like to. Okay. Our ego doesn't like when we give in. When to say that I made a mistake, does ego like that?
It gets easier.
Huh?
It gets easier.
But the ego in general does not want to be. No. The ego wants to say, no, I did everything right. How could it be I did something wrong? That's the ego. But if I judge myself properly, that means I'm pushing aside that, because where does that come? That's that fear again. That's the fallen fear. I feel if my ego, if I don't keep him good, so then I won't be, things won't be good for me if I don't keep my ego strong, right? But that's a fear. That's a silly fear. That's a silly fear right by itself. Okay, when if a person doesn't judge himself, down here, so you know what the problem is? They're going to judge him upstairs. We're going to get judged somewhere. But wouldn't you rather be your own judge? Huh? It's pretty good, right? You have the opportunity, you could be your own judge. You can say, okay, I'm guilty and I'm sorry. I'm guilty and I'm sorry. That's much better when they start to bring the case up in heaven. They bring the case against the person up in heaven, right? If I was, wow, hello, Reuben, good morning. Yeah, we're learning about this beautiful idea today.
If you say it's
Wait, listen, this idea that you have to judge yourself. You know why? Because if you judge yourself, then they won't judge you up on heaven, right? In other words, there's a thing that there's a due process, right? Right? What is that? No double jeopardy. No double jeopardy. What does no double jeopardy mean? Right? Now, if you're judged on one, if you were judged on a case, right, then they can't, and you were tried on that case, even if they come up with new evidence or anything else, you were acquitted on the case, they can't bring you back on the case. You know where they got that from?
No.
From Chazal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Came from the Torah. So that means if a person made a mistake, he did something wrong, he did an Aveira, and he knows that, and he says, he makes a din v'cheshbon, right? Everyone always knows we have to make a din v'cheshbon, we have to make a calculation. So if I make a calculation, and I do this on a daily basis, if I can do this on a daily basis, which is really what we're supposed to do before we go to sleep. Right before we go to sleep, Chazal say you're supposed to make a din v'cheshbon. And what did I do today? Did I use my time correctly? Did I do something wrong? Did I do something right? What did I do? Right? And if you fix things at that time, number one, you'll have a much better sleep because you're not worried about stuff. You settled everything. Right? A lot of people aren't sleeping. Their mind's always racing because they don't know this, that, and the other thing, right? But if you can do that din v'cheshbon, and then and you settled each thing from the day, and you do this all the time, so then you have a mind that's much more at ease, right? Would you agree with that? Makes sense, right?
Well, if you're here and you believe you're supposed to fix yourself, then I think eventually I'm more of the time thankful because I know what to fix, and if I fix it,
you feel at ease.
I feel at ease.
You feel at ease. That's it. That's right.
So it gets easier, I think.
Right. So notice that the point is here, if you judge yourself down here, they won't judge you up on high because you already judged for the case. You already judged on that case, so they can't bring you up on charges again. Amazing idea. It's an amazing. This is one of the most amazing concepts. Right? Because we're always scared. I don't know, maybe I did this wrong, maybe that, I don't know. And the Yetzer Hara does that to us, right? I don't know, maybe you did this wrong, maybe you did that. To put doubt in our mind. That's what the Yetzer Hara tries, it makes doubt. Right? But if I say, okay, fine, I did that wrong. Hashem, I did it wrong, I'm sorry. It's done. Now the Yetzer Hara body's going, hey, wait a second. We already took care of that. sorry. You know, another thing that you can do that the Tanya says, you're supposed to set aside a certain time during the day, right? That you're going to make this din v'cheshbon, right? So let's say you want to do it at 8 o'clock at night. I don't know, whatever, we'll just make an example, right? So you'll do it from 8 to 9, 8 to 9, or 8 to 8:15, whatever you make a time. And then during the day, when the Yetzer Hara comes to you and bothers you with something, you say, I'm sorry, court's closed, come back at 8 o'clock. The court's closed, come back at 8 o'clock. We'll talk about it then. Now the court's closed. You can't bother me today. Because if you do it like that, you can be happy the whole day. You understand? That's how you can be happy the whole day, because you know the whole day the Yetzer Hara can't bother you, because you say, hey, listen, hey, we had the court, you go look at the sign. The sign says court's open from 8 to 8:15. That's it. Other than that, court's closed. Amazing, right? Such nice ideas to really give us a peace of mind, right? So again, the problem is that we're learning here now is that we have yira nefulas, right? These fallen fears, right? We're scared of different things, worldly things. We're scared of governments. We're scared of who knows what, right? We're scared of illness. People are scared of financial things. People are scared of all kinds of things, right? I mean, there's no end, right? There's no end to what people are scared of, right? But really, what am I supposed to be scared of? I'm supposed to be scared of Hashem. That's the real fear. So how do you get the real fear? That's what we're learning. If I judge myself all the time, so then I can be open to Hashem. I'm not running away from Hashem. Otherwise, I feel like I'm always running away from Hashem because Hashem, I'm doing this wrong and that wrong. Hashem wants me to do this. If I go close to Hashem, then I got to be a good boy. But if I am a good boy, so then I can be close to Hashem.
Very good.
Oh, yeah. The Rebbe's lessons are the best. Mamash. These ideas are amazing, right? Mordechai, you ever hear an idea like this?
I did.
Nachman?
Yeah.
I did. David Melech, I learned, said Hatati L'Shem when he looked at, the whole thing with, what's her name?
Bathsheba. Yeah. So he said, I made a mistake. That's it. Chazal say, why did we have to do the Chet HaEgel? Why? Because Chazal said, why did we do that? Because for the Torah to teach that the Jewish people as a community can do tshuva. The community, as a community. And then the Gemara says, why did David HaMelech have to make this problem with the Bathsheba? Again, it's not so simple. Was it a mistake? Was it an Aveira? Was it an Aveira? We're not going to get into that, right? Because, really at that time, when they went to war, everyone had to give a get to their wife before they went to war. And Bathsheba's husband went to war, and he had given his wife a get. So really, what did he do wrong? Okay? Yeah. But again, David HaMelech. So David HaMelech was involved in that act, whatever it was. Why? Chazal say to teach that an individual can do tshuva. So David HaMelech went through that whole thing in order to help us. Amazing. In order to be able to help us. Fascinating. To do tshuva. So that's what we know now. We can do tshuva. We can just say, I'm sorry, Tati, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And I'm done. Don't bring it up again. There's an idea of doing tshuva on tshuva. There's an idea of that. Right? In other words, if a person did something wrong and he didn't really understand how bad the thing was, right? So then as he learns and he sees, wait a second, what I did was pretty bad. And then he thinks, wait a second, the way I said I was sorry, maybe I didn't do that good enough because I didn't realize how bad it was. So then he can say he's sorry on the way he apologized for that thing, but not for the thing itself. You understand?
And if he repeats it, then what?
If he repeats what?
The Avera.
So he'll have to do tshuva again.
No, but how many times can he repeat it?
Listen, okay. The Chazal teach about echta v'ashuv, right?
What's that mean?
Echta v'ashuv means I'll do a sin, or I'll do tshuva. Or I'll do the sin again, I'll do tshuva. Yeah. That's no good. But if a person is working, it's sincerely, yeah, and he's trying to overcome the Yetzer Hara in whatever the case is, and he's sincerely trying, and he failed, he can do tshuva. If the person is trying, Hashem knows, you can't play a game with Hashem. If the person's sincere, he can do the Avera 1,000 times. But if he's sincere each time, he'll be forgiven. But if the person is thinking, I could do this, and I just learned, I could do tshuva. So, hey, you know what, I'll just do this thing wrong, and I'll say, I'm sorry. Wow, what a good life. I can have the best of everything, right? Now that Chazal say that's not going to work. That's not going to work. But if the person is really sincere, if he's sincere in what he's doing and he still failed, that's okay. Because you'll do it enough times and the person will become successful. But again, it's all our intent. It's all the intent, right? Makes sense? Mm-hmm. It's all of our intent. Okay. So now he says, when a person has this das, and he's not scared of silly things in the world, but he's scared of Hashem, when he has that das, Zoichin lebechinas Torah shebenigla shehi bechinas Sinai. So then the person gets the revealed Torah. The revealed Torah, he'll be able to understand the revealed Torah, right? You ever try to learn a Gemara, right? And there's a whole pilpul going on over there between between this whole discourse going on here. What are they doing? What is all of this stuff like? What is going on over here, right? So if you really want to understand that, so you have to work on your Yiras Hashem. In other words, if you work on the Yiras Hashem, you work on the things, so then you'll start to see the beauty in all of that. In other words, until then, we don't have that. So in other words, what we're saying here is that if the person will have Shabbat Nigla, that what? And the whole idea of it'll be like Sinai. Why Sinai? Har Sinai. You know, Har Sinai was the lowest mountain of all the mountains, right? Right? Do you remember that? Har Sinai was the lowest of the mountains, right? All the big mountains, right? Mount Everest and whatever all those Mount Rushmore, right? Or whatever, all these big mountains. Say, give the Torah on me. Hashem said, no. You're all full of gaiva. You're all full of haughtiness because you're so tall. But Har Sinai was the lowest one. Hashem said, I like this one. I'm going to give the Torah on this one. So when a person works on himself, and again, was working on his ego, right? Because the ego doesn't let me say I'm sorry, right? The ego says, what do you mean? I made a mistake. How can you tell me I made a mistake, right? Mm-hmm. Right? That's what the ego tells every one of us, right? But if I can still do that, and I'm humble, then I can say, yes, I made a mistake. I did this wrong. I made the mistake. If I can actually do that, then what am I doing? I'm humbling myself. So if I humble myself, I'm like Har Sinai. So therefore, I'll be able to get the Torah Shebegin, the revealed Torah that was given, of course, on Har Sinai. Okay, does that help make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Torah Shebegin, and now if the person attains this Torah Shebegin, right, he can start to now have an appreciation for all of the different aspects of Torah. Zoichen l'Tefila. Then that a person will be able to daven. The Mesiras Nefesh. What does that mean, Mesiras Nefesh? That he'll daven in a way that'll be mevatel his gashmias. He'll be mevatel his physicality. He'll realize that it's me and Hashem. When I'm davening, it's me and Hashem, it's my neshama and Hashem. Nothing to do with my body. Because really the body, we're here, how long are we in the world for, right? Right? Because I'll say, we're in the world for what, how many years, whatever. Even if the person makes it to 120, it's Hashem, will all be healthy and well, right? All right, 120. Okay, so what? But the neshama is eternal, right? Our neshama is eternal. It's eternal. So if the person can come to study Torah Benigla and he understands, and how does he get the Torah Benigla? Because he's working on his Yira. He's working as Yiras Hashem. How do you work on your Yiras Hashem? Judging ourselves. Always judging ourselves to recognize that Hashem is there and I'm accountable for everything that's going on in life. And I truly believe that, today, everywhere you go, there are cameras, right? Right? There are cameras on the streets all over, right? Every day, they know exactly what we're doing, right? Why did Hashem do that for us? Why did Hashem do it? Why do we have these cameras, right? Why is all these things? To realize, no, it's for us to realize that if there's a camera down here that knows what I'm doing, of course there's a camera up on high that knows what I'm doing, right? It helps us. I believe Hashem gave us these things today to help us understand that Hashem is recording everything that I'm doing. Think about it. Can you imagine the people 100 years ago? They were learning this idea that everything's being recorded in heaven. They didn't understand what recording means. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that true? Think about it. A man 100 years ago, maybe two, maybe they had films 100 years. I don't know. Maybe 150 years ago.
Yeah.
They certainly didn't have it then, right? Right. There was no such a thing as recording then, right?
No.
So, but now we have all these different things to understand how it works, right? And we have today, and I believe also today, you want to know if your voice is important, right? Does it make a difference if I said anything? How about all these devices? You could talk to them, right? And they understand what you said. And they can write things, right? Mm-hmm. You could be in your car today and you could tell the thing to send the message, right? Mm-hmm. You tell the thing and it types it out, the message. So when you see your words are actually very important. Could you imagine?
So, what's interesting is when GPS came out in Waze and that kind of thing. Because I always wondered, how could Hashem keep track of all of us? And then I said, look, if this little machine can keep track of all these devices, certainly Hashem can keep track of us.
And he's running all the devices.
Yeah. So kind of
No, so Hashem, right? I truly believe Hashem is giving us these little carrots, today to help us to realize what we have to be successful in serving Hashem. You understand? I believe that's why we really have these things today. It's also convenient. Don't get me wrong; they're all very nice conveniences, right? But really, let's think about it. Why would Hashem do these things? Wait, my words actually mean something. Look, the machine even can write it out. You ever do that?
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? Voice dictation, right? Voice dictation. Yeah, and now, when a person will say to me, when I daven, I can just scan it. What, you're scanning it? But there was no voice. No voice. So the same way, they didn't do that yet. You'll think something, it'll come up on the screen.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I don't think that, but maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they'll come up with that. I have no idea. But so far, you have to say something, right? So you see that speech is very important, right? So don't think you can just not say the words and just scan the words. You actually have to enunciate the words, say the words. Like we learned, when you say the words, you're making vessels. Each word is a vessel, right? And then Hashem fills the vessels with light. That's what we're trying to do, okay?
Right, but sometimes in my head, I can connect with someone else. Like, that happens.
Oh, no, that's something else. Yeah, you can think about somebody and you can't, that's something, okay. That's a different, but we're here now.
We'll get to that one.
No. Now we're talking. Now we're talking about speech, right?
Right.
Important. Again, let's one more time. So we started off over here based on lesson 15 in Likutey Moharan. Okay. And if the person wants to have the tam of the Or Agonos, he wants to taste that light, the spiritual light. He wants to taste. Remember, we learned about the spiritual light. He wants to taste it. You want to feel that light. You want to feel it. So how do you have to do that? You have to work on your Yiras Hashem. How do you work on Yiras Hashem? The Rebbe said you have to always judge yourself properly. Right? If you do that, so you take away all the fallen fears. All of the fallen fears go away because you realize it's all Me'ez Hashem. It's all Hashem taking care of everything. And then when you do that, and then you'll be able to come to have Torah Shebenigla, right? You'll be able to study Torah properly. And when you study Torah properly, so then what's going to happen? Then you'll be able to daven. By davening with a way of Mesiras Nefesh, in a way that you're not worried about your guf, you're worried about your neshama. You understand? You're worried about your neshama. Not worried necessarily about the guf, you're worried more about the neshama. You're not worried about the physical. Right? Sometimes people are davening and all their focus is on the physical. Right? I'm not feeling well, I need a healing, I need more money, I need this, I need that, right? But what about your neshama? Did we daven about our neshama, that our neshama should be successful? That's a tefillah b'mesiras nefesh. Okay, when you daven a tefillah b'mesiras nefesh is when you daven in a way that you're more connected to your neshama and not more to the physical aspect. Okay, v'zeh bechinas chesed la'Avram. And that's the idea of chesed la'Avraham. Now we learned yesterday about chesed, right? When the person does an aveira, right, and he does true, and he connects to the tzaddik, so then he can he'll cause him to do tshuva, to reconnect his pipeline to get the bounty to come down because he may have disconnected it, right? And we said what's that? That's a chesed. That's a chesed from Hashem that He allows us to do tshuva. That He allows us to do tshuva, that He allows this new tshuva, this new idea of chesed that was never in the world before, that you brought this into the world. And that's the new pipeline that you reconnect. Right? Chesed la'Avraham. Right? So then through that, the person can actually connect back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu the right way. Okay, vayidei tefila b'mesiras nefesh. If a person davens in that way b'mesiras nefesh, like we said that he's davening for his neshama, my neshama should be spiritually successful. And when we daven for our families and our children, the same thing. Daven for their neshamas. that they should have more Yiras Hashem. They should have more Ahavas Hashem. They should be able to study more Torah. Daven that way. Whereas always today, some people daven for their children. They should be successful. They should make more money. Okay, those are very important things. But again, the tefillah b'mesiras nefesh. All right. Okay. Without the confines of physicality. So now, if you want to feel you want to taste the secrets of Torah, right? So he said if you want to feel, if you want to have the Torah shebenigla, the written Torah, the written Torah, and the oral Torah, if you want that, so that you have to work on your yira. You have to work on your yiras Hashem. How do we say you work on yiras Hashem? By judging yourself, right? And then when you judge yourself properly, you get the ability to study Torah shebenigla, right? The revealed Torah. Then if you daven b'mesiras nefesh, which will cause you to be able to daven b'mesiras nefesh, again, davening for the neshama. So then if you're davening for the neshama, now you can get Torah shebenistar. Now you start to be able to understand the secrets of Torah. This is the system, right? If you want to start to understand the revealed Torah, so then you have to work on Yira, right? And then if you want to be able to, then we said you can get the Chesed of Avram. Avram is the Midah of what? Chesed, which is what? Ahava, right? So when you start to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you realize that Hashem, so then you can have the Torah Shebenista. Then you can get the revealed, the hidden secrets of Torah. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Mordechai, does that make sense? So that's the system. You start this way and you work your way to that. But you have to have first the Yiras Hashem. How do you get the Yiras Hashem? Judging yourself properly. Okay? Shu Ara Gonos Mishivas Yemei Bereshis, and the secrets of Torah is that light that was hidden away in the 7 days of creation that we said, where is that light? In the Yesod for Sheba Olam Atzilus, in the 6th level of the world of Atzilus, when you're in there, when you're connecting to the Yesod of the Olam Sheba Atzilus, so then that person can have can feel the Chesed la'Avram, the Chesed, and then he can have the secrets, so he can understand the secrets of Torah, which is the Chachma Ilah. That we said, this Chachma Ilah, the upper wisdom and the lower wisdom. I'm just trying to tie the lessons together. You have the upper wisdom and the lower wisdom. So again, when I work on this, I can be more attached to the upper wisdom, which fills my mind, which helps me to be able to daven, right? Because we said when you fill the mind, Mordechai, remember we said when you fill the mind with the Chachmas Hashem, right, with the upper wisdom, so what happens then? So then the mind works, takes in that information, the Bina in the mind, the discernment works out that information, and then what happens is the Chachma and the Bina create the Das, right? The Das is the outcome of the Chachma and the Bina is the Das. And we said the Das breaks into what? Chesed Gevura, which is the Zer Anpin. And it goes down all the way to the lowest midah, which is Malchus. Malchus is Peh. So again, the whole system is connected, right? So if I judge myself properly, and I'm constantly judging myself, and because I want to have freedom, I want to feel free, so I judge myself. Again, it's not painful. It's not painful to do this, right? You made a mistake, just say you're sorry. And say, Hashem, help me not to do this again. I'm sorry I did this. Hashem, help me not to do this again. That's what we have to do. Hashem, help me, guide me that I don't do this thing again. That's why you do tshuva, right? I'm sorry, Hashem, I made this mistake. It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated to do tshuva. It's not complicated at all. Hashem, I realize I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Help me, Hashem, that I don't do this again. Okay, good. Then I can get the Yiras Hashem because, again, I have everything worked out. I'm sorry I'm repeating it again and again. I just want to make sure we understand this concept, right? So when I judge myself and I have the Yiras Hashem and I get that, right? So then I allow my mind to be open so I can accept the Chachma Ilah, right? Because if my mind is all involved with all of the things in life, it's all stuffed up with all of that stuff, then there's no room for the Chachma Ilah. But if I can settle things via judging myself. So then I freed up space in the mind. I freed up space for the Chachmei Ilah. When I free up the space in my mind for the Chachmei Ilah, the upper wisdom, when I do that, so then the mind can work itself out to create the Das, which creates the Zer Anpin, the lower spheres, Chesed, Gevurah, Tveres, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus. Malchus is Peh, speaking. Pi Yadaber Chochmos, like we said. Pi Yadaber Chochmos, right? Pi, the mouth. Chochma is Malchus. So when I work on filling my mind with the right wisdom, I'll be able to speak. And when I speak, how am I going to speak? Because I judge myself properly. So then I got the Torah Shebenigla, the written Torah. It causes me to be able to daven b'mesiras nefesh for my neshama. When I realize my neshama is important, when I realize that, so then I can be able to then I can be able to daven with the mesiras nefesh. Then I can get the secrets of Torah, and the secrets of Torah is connecting again to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what we're trying to do. Okay, does that make is that okay so far? Okay. Now, how does this pertain to Tefillin? Right, we're in Hilchos Tefillin, so let's see how this pertains.
Tefillin, huh? Okay.
We're in Halacha Gimel of Tefillin now. Right, we still have a few minutes, right? Okay.
Good.
Okay, so now the Rebbe says over there, V'chol zeh, and all of this, Hu bechinas Tefillin. Wow, this is an aspect of Tefillin. Look at all these things. Look at all these things we learned about Tefillin so far, right? Do you imagine this? Tefillin is connected to Chachmei Ilah, Chachmei Tata. It's this and that and the other. Wow, all these things. Now Tefillin is connected to judging myself. Wow. Ki roiv ha'amorim shel Rabbeinu Zal, because most of the words of Rabbeinu Zal, most of the words that Rabbi Nachman taught, shenemru ba'oisen azmanim, that he said in these different kupas, these different times that he said things, kulam nemru al tefillin. He really taught them all based on the hilchas of tefillin, halachos of tefillin. You okay, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other.
Kach nishma mi piv hakodesh mi perish. So too, he heard this. Rab Nosson heard this from Rabbi Nachman directly. Mi piv hakodesh, from his holy mouth, from Rabbi Nachman's holy mouth. Av alpha pi shekol mamer kolo mikol haTorah kula. That even though all of his Torahs, all of the Torahs of Likutey Moharan are inclusive of all Torah. You can learn out all lessons from Rabbi Nachman's Torahs in Likutey Moharan. You can learn all of Torah out from any one of those lessons. But really, he was focusing on most of the teachings in that beautiful book of Likutey Moharan. All of those lessons was focused on Tefillin. You see how important the Tefillin really are. People don't realize. They think, it's a burden. I have to put these things on every day. Okay, I'll get them on. You don't realize how beautiful they are. That's what we're trying to see, what the beauty of Tefillin really are. Isn't it amazing, right? To learn the beauty of Tefillin.
Yeah, Sitra Achra does not want me to learn the beauty of Tefillin right this minute.
Oh, really?
So I'm
Okay.
standing up.
Okay. He's great. This guy's great. Baruch Hashem. Because the main koyach of Tefillin is la'alei sayira l'sharsha. The main point of Tefillin is to take my yira and realize, be cognizant of Hashem in my life all the time. That's what the Tefillin are there. That Hashem is always with me. Isn't this great? That Hashem is always with you. Beautiful. The Tefillin are connected to Hashem's always with me. Ki Tefillin ain't bechinas yira. Ki do it. The whole Tefillin idea of Tefillin is yira, fear.
Say that, but when you say fear, you're saying
fear of Hashem,
of Hashem's love.
No, his punishment.
First you have to have yiras Hashem. Be fearful of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that He says I should do this or I shouldn't do this. I need fear. We learned. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. There are 365. I'm glad you said that. There are 365 negative commandments, right? There are 248 positive commandments. That makes 613. 265 and 248 is 613. You agree with that, accountant? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. How are you going to be able to hold back from all of the things, the 365 negative commandments of the Torah? You need to have Yiras Hashem. You need to have fear of Hashem in order to hold back, to not do the things the Torah says don't do. I have to fear Hashem because Hashem said don't do this, so I can't do it. But I'm going to have to evoke within me Yiras Hashem in order to hold me back because I really want to do this thing. Oh, but the Torah says I can't do it. Oh, where am I going to get the strength, the wherewithal in order to hold myself back? Yira.
What am I afraid of?
That Hashem is watching me. Hashem said, don't do this, and I'm doing it anyway.
Okay.
It's like with the police or the government. You're an accountant, so taxes, you're afraid if you make a mistake or do something wrong, you'll be punished. So it's the same thing with Hashem. That's the way we have to
it's
see
kind
it.
of like if I eat something, but I hide it from my wife, I think she can't see me, but Hashem can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're sweet. Oh, yeah, no, so you understand, Yiras Hashem, first, the Tefillin are teaching me that concept of Yira.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little, sometimes a little uncomfortable, right? What do you mean I have to be fearful? We talk about love today. Everyone has to love Hashem. But you can't love Hashem if you don't fear Hashem. That's a faulty love. You need that balance. You need the balance. You have to have fear of Hashem and love of Hashem. B'dechilu urechimu. I need the fear and the love. If I have both, then I can be connected to Hashem.
What brings you to love?
What brings you to love? That we're learning now. In other words, when I first...
No, you said Tefilin.
For a year, yeah. Now wait. Well, let's read the next line. Let's go further. Okay. V'ro kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha v'yoru mimeka. It says about Tefillin, and the Gemara brings this in. It's in Dvarim. If you want to see this, it's in Dvarim Chav Ches. It's in chapter 28, and it's verse 10. Okay, if you want to look it up. So it says, "V'ro kol amei haaretz." All the nations of the world. V'ro kol amei haaretz. Amei. The nations of the world. Ki shem Hashem nikra alecha. That the name of God is called upon you. V'yiru mimeka. And they'll be scared of you. To Pasuk in Chumash. So here you see, Tefillin is connected to Yira. They'll be fearful of you. So Tefillin is Yira. You got that? The pasuk says, "V'yaru mimeka," that they'll be scared of you.
How do you make that connection?
Because it's talking about Tefillin.
Oh, okay.
V'ro kol amei ki shem Hashem nikra alecha. That's talking. That pasuk is going on Tefillin. So in Tefillin, when they see a Tefillin, they'll be scared of you.
Mm-hmm. This whole thing we're learning here is on Tefillin.
Elu Tefillin. Elu Tefillin. V'darshu Chazal teaches that's going on Tefillin. Through the Tefillin, we're worthy that all the nations of the world, will come upon them a fear when they see our Tefillin. When we're wearing our Tefillin the right way and we're doing the right thing and we have the right intent when we put on our Tefillin. You understand?
Do they see it after we take it off because it's still there?
Yes, yeah. The imprint is still there. Yeah, the imprint is still there. Okay, gam tefillin hein bechinas moichin v'das. Okay, tefillin is also moichin v'das. Mind and knowledge. Moichin v'das. To know what das is that? To know the greatness of Hashem. B'hainu. What does that mean? La'alei sayira l'shorsha shebedas. To take the yira, bring it up to the yira of the das. Chachma bina das. Put it up there. Get it that high. It's supposed to go that high. That you know that the das should be so clear that I know that I have to be fearful of Hashem and not fearful of everything else in the world. I don't need to be scared of anything else in the world when I understand that it's all Hashem. Everything else in the world is only coming at me because Hashem is sending it. But if I fear Hashem, Hashem can take away all those things because the whole point is to fear Hashem. So Hashem doesn't have to make me scared about other things if I'm scared of Him, because that's the goal. That's the game. So if you want salvation from all the things that we're experiencing, work on fearing Hashem correctly. How do you do that? Using your tefillin. How do you like that? See that? We're learning here amazing things today, right? Amazing, amazing ideas. If you want to free your mind and you want to have a clear mind, judge yourself. Fascinating, right? Clear your mind. Clear your mind of all of that stuff. Like we said, the court's closed now, so you'll come back when the court's open, right? Court's closed now. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. All day I can be besimcha all day because I'm not involved in that stuff. The HR comes to me, hey, not now. Go when the court's open, you'll come back. We'll talk about it then.
There's something I need you to repeat, but I'm not sure what it is.
Okay. All right.
So,
when you remind yourself, you'll call me later.
No, I mean it's about this, the way you said it.
Yeah.
Because it seems I haven't got the paradigm of it yet for some reason.
Okay. Which part? I would tell.
That the tefillin is.
Tefillin is Yira.
Yira. And Yira means that Hashem can see everything we do.
Yes.
And we do or don't do something because we know Hashem can see us.
We don't do something, that's the Yira. We don't do
something.
That's the Yira.
And we don't do it because we know
Hashem is watching me.
Hashem is watching, and it's not the right thing for us to do. It's not living in harmony with what He wants us to do. His will.
Exactly. So I'm scared of not doing. I take him instead of being scared of animals, and scared of terrorists, scared of governments, scared of politicians, scared of whatever, right? Whatever. I now can be scared of not transgressing on one of the 365 negative commandments.
But this is also because I want to have a relationship with Hashem.
Of course, it's all about relationship with Hashem.
And so if I want that relationship with Hashem, I want to do what He wants me to do.
Right. So we're saying, so it goes up. The Yira goes up to our das, and what's the das? To know it's all Hashem. Everything is Hashem. So if it's everything's Hashem, and Hashem told me don't do this and don't do that, all those 360. So if I'll work on not doing those, I'll fear that. So then I relinquish myself from the fear of all the other fallen fears, all the other silliness of the world. It's much better to fear things of the Torah than to fear other things, right? Isn't that much easier, much nicer?
It's not always easier.
Oh, it's not easy. Okay, but there's a purpose to it. There's a purpose. There's a gratification when you're working on fearing things that Torah says not to do, rather than being scared of everything else.
You have to work on your emunah.
You have to work. It's a system, right? You like that? Yeah. And why would you do all of this? So that's emunah.
That's emunah.
Because if I didn't believe this, I wouldn't. If I didn't have the emunah, I wouldn't do any of this. Then I wouldn't bother. If I didn't have the emunah, I wouldn't be judging myself, and I wouldn't be telling the Yetzar there's a certain time you can bother me. I wouldn't get. There's no emunah. There's no Yetzar. There's no nothing. If you don't have emunah, you're not in the program. Right? We're talking about people that are in the program and they're trying to get more connected to the program. You want to be more connected to the program. So yes, but of course, the emunah is the fundamental thing. If you don't have emunah, why would you do anything? Why are you going to sit and listen to the class if you don't have emunah? Right? Why would anyone want to listen to the Torah if they don't believe in it?
Well, because it's interesting.
It's interesting?
It's more than interesting.
No, but
I mean, I'm saying learning for the sake of learning versus...
Yeah, of course, we always learn. Of course, we're learning for the sake of learning, of course. But why are we learning for the sake of? Because we're trying to get closer to Hashem. That's the whole point. Yeah. That's the whole goal of what we're trying to accomplish. All right. So let's finish the chapter, the paragraph over here. Tefillin. Okay, now. So we have now Yira Shebadas. Tefillin Shel Yad u'Tefillin Shel Rosh. We have the two. We have the Tefillin Shel Yad. We put that on first, and then we have the Tefillin Shel Rosh. Ki Tefila Shel Yadi Bechinas Yira. The Tefillin Shebiyad is the idea of fearing Hashem, because it goes by the heart. Place the Yira of Hashem in your heart. So the tefillin shayad is against your heart. So place the year of Hashem. That's the fear of Hashem. You like that so far? Good. The tefillin that goes for the heart, I have to place that on my arm, my left arm, which is closer to my heart. Or in your case, your heart's on the other side, right? Because you're a lefty. Okay, doesn't matter, right? It's all good. Because when I look at you, it's the same thing. Remember we said that, right? Right? We always have to be friends, right? We have to always look at each other, right? We have to speak to each other. Mm-hmm. So when I see you, then it's that way. So it's the same thing, okay? Don't get worried, okay? It's okay. The left side against the heart. Okay? So that's that. Now, and then we have, because the yad is kea. That's the weaker arm. Right? We said that the left arm is the weaker arm, right? In our case, right? In our case, the left arm is the weaker arm. So therefore, I want to associate the yira with the weaker arm. Why? Because I don't want too much gevura and yira, too much gevura in my life. You understand the gevura? I don't want that too much judgment, too much heavenly judgment. But I can get rid of the heavenly judgment by judging myself.
Isn't gevura like strength?
It's strength, yeah, but I want
strength to overcome your Yetzer Hara.
No, I do, but we do, but we put the tefillin on the weaker hand. Yeah. We use the right hand to tie on the tefillin. We use the right hand to tie the tefillin. Right. We wear the tefillin on the left arm, but we use the right hand. We give precedence to we give credence to the right hand.
What's opposite gevura? Chesed?
Chesed. So we use. So listen to this. The gevura is on the left side, right? Yeah. The chesed's on the right side. So what I take those straps and I'm tying them on the gevura. Why am I trying to do? I'm trying to keep the gevura in check. I'm trying to keep the gevura in check. The gevura is out there. It could be wild, the gevura. I want to keep the gevura in check. I want to keep it in check. How do I keep it in check? I use my right hand and I tie the straps on it. So I tie down the gevura with my right hand. You like that?
So it's like...
No, you don't understand. You don't... Okay.
Can I try
wait. Yeah, please.
Chesed to the extreme, what happens?
Nothing to the extreme is good.
Right. Well, why isn't...
What's chesed to the extreme? Go ahead.
What's chesed to the extreme?
What?
Well, it's...
That's Yishmael.
Yishmael, yeah.
Yishmael.
Oh, okay.
Yishmael. What's Yishmael? Is they do anything they want, right?
Yeah.
They do anything they want. They have relations with anything they do anything. That comes from too much chesed. If you have too much chesed without the gevura, so then you can do anything goes.
So now what you have to think about, which is, because I always thought of what you're thinking about, which is I thought gevura was restraint. So it keeps me protecting myself because I'm using restraint. But what happens if you take gevura to the extreme? And that's din and judgment.
That's Esau.
That's Esau.
Esau, right? Avram Avinu had a son Yishmael, right? Yeah. Because Avram Avinu was the midah of Chesed. Avram is Chesed, right? We all know that, right? Avram is Chesed. But too much Chesed is not good.
Too much anything's not
good. Too much Chesed is not good. Okay. So what happened? Yeah. So the Torah teaches us that's why Yishmael had to be born first. Because that excess love that Avram Avinu had, he had to deposit it somewhere. It went into Yishmael. So that way Yitzchak Avinu could be born pure. That's why Yishmael had to be born first. And then Yitzchak Avinu was born. And then when it came to Yitzchak had too much gvura. He's the midah of gvura. So you had to get rid of that excess gvura. Where to go? Into Esau. Oh. It wasn't random that Esau was born first. Uh-huh. Yitzchak Avinu put the gvura in Esau. Then Yaakov Avinu can be born pure. You see?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So the tefillin... Oh, go ahead.
I don't have this all complete myself because I have to begin to think about what happens when I use the extreme. Right. So I take it in little steps. If you do too much chesed, if you give too much of yourself in a nice way, because you want to help people, then you begin to resent because maybe you're taking your time, you're not using your time for other things that you should be using the time for. So the chesed, it's still too much chesed, but it's not the kind of chesed that he was using the example of where you can just do whatever you want kind of thing and rape women and that. So I'm working on thinking about what's the intermediate steps. Okay. I haven't got it all yet, but that's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, based on what we learned, that we always like, for example, we learned, excuse me, when the law is when you go to use the restroom, right, and you have to clean yourself, so you're not supposed to use your right hand. You're supposed to use your left hand. But why? I put my tefillin on my left hand. So what does Chazal say? No, but we give precedence to the right hand. Because I use the right hand to tie the tefillin. So we give the credence, the precedence to the right hand, even though the tefillin are going on the left hand, but I give the precedence to the right hand. Because the right hand is tying and keeping the gevura in check.
Okay.
So it's not like an Esav. I'm not too cruel. I'm not ruthless. I don't do things in a ruthless way. I know how to be. I used to know how to use the gevura in a way of constraint, where it's not just open and it just doesn't go rampant.
If you want to get
Yeah,
das,
Yeah.
you have to have balance between the two. You can't have the extremes.
You can't have any extreme. No, there's no extreme. That's why we're keeping the chesed to keep the gvura in check.
Okay.
You understand? We want to keep it in check. So the tefillin shel yad is based on yira. Tefillin shel yad is the yira.
I have to say something funny real quick.
We just finished the
Okay.
last thing.
Go ahead.
And then tefillin sheberoish, hu hayira shebedas. Tefillin sheberoish is the yira shebedas. That's the yira, the knowledge that I have that Hashem is in control of everything, and I only have to fear Hashem, and I don't have to fear people or situations or things in the world. I just have to fear the Rabbeinu Shalom. Okay? And I think we'll stop over here. We'll pick up again tomorrow with Das. So everyone have a wonderful day.
Yes.